weekly Teen Wolf podcast for Southgate Media Group. Thank you so much for joining us as we discuss episode 402 called 117. Yeah, go figure. I am your co-host, Dawn.
And I'm Lilith.
I gotta say that overall I found this episode much better than the season 4 premiere, and it was much more confusing. But I do like that we're back in Beacon Hills. I think that makes things better. I like that most of our characters were working together. So I just found this one to be better plotted than the last one.
Better plotted, but that's not really saying much now, is it, Dawn?
Well, it didn't feel like 4 scenes stretched out to fill the episode.
I will give you that.
In bad news, our ratings plummeted, and I mean plummeted. We had a 0.9 demo last time. We have a 0.7 demo this time. The last time we had a 0.7 was episode 305, Frayed. So it has been a long time coming. That's a season 3A kind of rating. And as a matter of fact, there are only 6 times in all of Teen Wolf that the rating was lower. So we plummeted big time, but worse, bigger drop actually was the drop in viewers. Last week we had 2.18 million. This time we had 1.56 million. The last time we were that low was indeed Raving. It was episode 2.08, and we had 1.33 at that point, which is the second lowest in Teen Wolf history. And we have only had 4 times when the viewers were lower than this episode. Now, I gotta say that I noticed a change before the demos came out, or before the ratings came out, because my tweet deck wasn't going crazy like it usually does. And so it was at that point, and a lot of people that I normally see live tweeting it were not. So I don't know if it's because this is the week of 4th of July and people were, going out of town this week, or if people just didn't realize. I saw a lot of people said they didn't realize that they weren't going to run it again after Wolf Watch. Yeah, that was a big one. So there were several people who were not really happy with MTV on my Twitter feed. But we did drop significantly. It's not something that we need to worry about at this point. A 0.7 is still good for MTV. But it would be good to go back up to those 0.9s, maybe get a 1.0 like we did last time. That's a goal.
Well, we're already confirmed for season 5, Dawn. Don't worry about it.
I've actually heard conflicted views on that, but I pretty much think we are confirmed, and they did just get that huge tax break, so yay them. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we were confirmed. People are telling me that wasn't true yet. And that Jeff has definitely talked about doing 24 episodes for the 5th season. So the simple fact is that for MTV, Teen Wolf is still one of their top-rated programs.
Well, scripted programs, definitely. So I guess that's me up at bat for the summary. Oh, dear. Where to even start with this? If I had to sum it up, I'd say the kids got back from their quote-unquote camping trip in Mexico with young Derek. They take him to Deaton, and of course Deaton is not helpful at all.
Never.
Teen Derek gets left behind at the animal clinic under the care of Deaton and Lydia, who don't do such a bang-up job, and he escapes to find his house in ruins. And he attacks 2 police, but he was kind of sort of provoked. But Deputy Parrish, aka Deputy Dreamy, came to his rescue.
Seriously, that's what they're calling him? Seriously, fandom? Come on.
It kind of fits. I'm sorry.
That is a lame name. That's like a 1970s name.
This fandom. Sheriff Stilinski intervenes when it is noted as his fingerprints coming up as Derek Hale, and of course Scott and Styles arrive right on cue to explain to Sheriff, no, it's not time travel as far as we know. And we get Malia meeting Peter as she breaks the news to him that Kate is alive. And Berserkers attack, and well, the Hale family crypt got robbed of its bearer bonds. And that, my friend, was the cliffhanger for the episode.
Thieves. thieves on Teen Wolf.
They pulled off a better heist than the finger episode.
Oh, that's not hard to do. As a matter of fact, anyone with half a brain who could not pull off a better heist, I just don't know what to tell you. You had bad luck. Ah, well, let's go to the stuff that we liked about the episode first. I have tons of stuff, so anything that you say that I think of, I'm going to just flip in something else on my list.
Oh, I'm glad you have so much stuff to like.
I have 12 ranked and about 13 non-ranked.
I will say that while I'm not a fan of the flashback, I am a fan of young Peter Hale, aka Michael Forgebach. I really like him. He's adorable. He's really cool to the fandom. And he's like douchey light compared to present day Peter.
I'm going to say something controversial right from the beginning, I guess. I think Teen Peter acts better than Teen Derek.
Ooh, shots fired! And you can tweet to her at Dawn1. That's DAHNE, the number 1.
Hate mail, always welcome. It's not that I don't think that Teen Derek can act, because he can, but I have had the dubious pleasure of looking at every single screenshot from this episode. And in it, 92% of the time, I believe, Teen Derek either is making sad puppy dog eyes or he looks constipated.
Ouch!
So, I'm not sure if it is the acting, or the writing, or the fact that Derek is just supposed to look like a sad puppy all the time.
That's what it is.
I don't know. So, but yeah, I enjoyed Teen Peter more than Teen Derek, and here's where I'm really gonna get screwed. I think Teen Peter did a better job in this episode than Adult Peter.
Ooh. Dawn, dude, you are cute. I just know. Oh my God, the emails that are going to come in.
Hey, you wanted more emails? So, hey, I'm opening up right now.
Not like this.
Well, I'm going to say it this way, and it seems like we're talking our least favorites now because both of these.
That's you! I said I liked the kid. I haven't even gotten to it
know
yet.
You did.
It's all you.
I know. But part of it is because Teen Peter had very little time in this episode, and we really did. So what I saw that I liked. But Adult Peter tends to be melodramatic.
Yes.
And sometimes melodramatic transfers into overacted. So I'm going to disagree with your point to some extent. But I will say that my 12th favorite thing does indeed involve Teen Derek. And it's when he goes, "The other deputy's the idiot." And Parrish goes, "Can't argue with that." No, you really can't argue with that. So yeah, starting out this podcast, controversial. Just know that my opinions are my own, and they do not reflect Southgate Media Group, Spoiler TV, or Lilith.
Well, sometimes they do, but not necessarily in this case. I like the return of Miguel. Continuity, baby.
I did not put that one on my list because I was certain you would put it on your list. And I have a feeling that most of the fandom likes that more than I did. But I do love continuity, and Flo was very proud. Number 11 for me is also Teen Derek. See, so there's stuff that I love about the boy. And that is when Teen Derek leaps to Scott's rescue, even though he barely knows him. And the only thing he really knows about him is that he lied to him. But I love how he hears Scott's roar. He responds anyway. It shows tremendous loyalty. And I think that is a characteristic that in some times Derek has not shown. So it was good to see that in him in his teen form.
For some reason, I like Styles' reaction to Douche Dad being there, because I literally had the same reaction, like, why are you here? When I first saw him with Scott.
I put down, not him again.
I think I tweeted that.
Yeah, I thought that Styles had some interesting reactions in this one too. But I'll talk about that a little later. Number 10 for me, Parrish returns. I like Parrish. I think he's awesome. He is by far the nicest guy in all of Beacon Hills, which means that he's probably going to be evil. But right now, he's always welcome on my screen.
I like Deputy Dreamy as well, and I kind of hope that he doesn't turn evil. I kind of have a feeling that, I don't know, Jeff kind of knows the trope, and he's like fighting really hard to go against certain tropes. So for the sake of the actor and the character, I don't want him to be evil. So this is probably just wishful thinking. But I too had the return of Deputy Parrish. I love how nice he is. I really do. I love when he gets time with Sheriff the most of all. But this was really good interactions with Teen Derek as well.
I agree. I think that him showing compassion, I think also the toss-off line that I really hated about him being young again, it gives his character some sympathy that he obviously pours out on everybody he meets. So I like how he wanted to talk it out. He wanted to see what was going on. Teen Derek was obviously in distress. And so it was just a good character moment. But I also love that he always seems to be around in the good humor parts.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I really liked Teen Derek's reaction to egg roll. He said, hell yeah, because that's usually my response to egg rolls. I love them.
I like the wonky look on Styles' face better at that point, because he had just gotten done actually answering back in Spanish. And Styles is kind of like, what? They both know Spanish? Which I'm like, you're in California. Yeah, Douche Dad asks if he was native of Mexico, and Teen Derek says that he's not a native, but he's been spending a lot of time there. Which I thought was very clever, because he did just spend a lot of time there. Even though he shouldn't have remembered.
Oh, I had a quick question. Where did you get the 4 months? Because I got 2 months.
It is 2 months. It is. Yeah, I went back and checked that after somebody checked me on it. So, it is 2 months. It should be, according to the wiki, it should be January, which actually that time really does set up because we knew that at the Halloween episode that it was October. So if it has been 2 months since then it makes sense that we are now in January, which solves our lacrosse problem as well, which I like.
Which we're actually getting in the next episode. Hooray.
Exactly, which would have been a problem if they hadn't solved the time thing. So, but yeah, so that actually worked well there.
Okay. Sidebar, sorry.
Number 9 for me, Scott pulls Styles out of Dean's vet office. It's the culminating moment of what I really enjoyed in there. I like when Scott and Lydia and Styles are all working together. Deaton happened to be there too, but he was just useless like usual. So, but I really like how they're setting up the you have to stay with him, which, by the way, it seemed obvious to me that Deaton was staying with him. So I'm hoping this is Scott, thinking, something happening with Deaton here, but I doubt it is. But I like how Lydia is volunteering. She is obviously the one who can afford to be out of school the most. I'm not quite sure that Scott and Styles should be out of school as often as they are. But I like how Styles is like, no way, not happening. And then Scott just drags him off. I thought that was funny. It was a good little moment between the two of them. And this episode had several good little moments between the two of them.
I actually had that down, but the very specific line where Styles says, just because you're stronger than me, and then it kind of trails off.
Yeah.
I have that in green as bro moment.
Oh, yeah. I love those bro moments. It's my favorite thing about Teen Wolf. So I liked this episode kind of giving me more of that than we had in the past there.
I actually found Malia and Peter's banter freaking hilarious. More specifically, Malia referring to Peter as Satan in a V-neck per Lydia. Yeah.
He
is always in a V-neck, almost always. I never even noticed it. And then on Tumblr, I saw the GIF set of him in all the different color V-necks. And I'm like, does he hang out with Jared Padalecki in his off time? Another king of the V-necks.
And his favorite color is white. So.
There's been a burnt orange one, a dark gray one, a black. Oh, he's worn a lot of them. I never even noticed it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is actually my number 4. I love that line. That was one of my favorite ones. I like how it continued also, where Scott goes, I can handle Peter, and Malia's like, you can handle him better with me. And she didn't say that you can't handle him, but I'm going with you anyway. Number 8 for me comes from that same kind of segment of the episode, and it is Peter's quote, not to underestimate my own cognitive faculties, but we're not exactly a brain trust of geniuses here. And I was like, thank you for mastering the understatement.
I know, right?
So I thought that was a brilliant line. I'm glad he put it out there.
I really liked when they were in the veterinarian clinic and Scott trusts Lydia to stay with Derek and maybe even perhaps keep an eye on Deep.
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping.
I like that Scott is all about, trusting people trust and delegation. I really think those are 2 really important skills in leadership. And I just like to see when Scott is being smart about his choices.
And I'm going to tell you, he's going to be coming down on the list for me because there is some major smart Scott moments in this episode. And that's good because they need them. Number 7 for me, the Beacon Hills Batcave. How cool was that? Totally. The whole freaking side turns around. There's a vault in the middle of the high school. Hello, Buffy.
I was like, oh, there really is a Hellmouth, and it's not the Nematime.
I loved it. I thought it was clever. It was fun. I think that there are some problems with it also, but
yes,
I do think that was a great way of doing things, and I love how he just claws it, and then he was turning it like a combination lock on a locker.
See, that's where I thought the number 117 was going to come from.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't explain it. He didn't actually say the words. 1, left to 1, right to 7. So at that point I was like, maybe that's not it. Because it's not Teen Wolf if we don't explain the title.
Actually, that literally was my next point, Dawn. We didn't get lesson. Like, we got a history lesson on the between Kate and Derek, but we didn't get like a vocabulary lesson.
We did get a lesson on Lincoln. We got a Lincoln lesson.
Well, he does teach history, Dawn. Come on. I take history lessons over vocabulary lessons, especially the vocabulary that I had to study for SATs like a million years ago. Well, 10 years ago, but don't need those flashbacks.
No, we really don't need the SAT prep for sure. Yeah. Number 6 for me, Skeletor, also known as the Berserkers. I know nothing about these guys. All the stuff that Argent said in the cell doesn't seem to apply to these guys, but they look cool. I look forward to learning more about the myth arc of the Skeletor system, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to call them that from here on out. And I think that it's going to be a fun little mythology thing for us to go to. My theory about them were completely wrong. They did not follow Malia back because obviously they are there with the benefactor, but I am very, very interested in seeing where they're going with this.
Okay, I just have to get into it. I really, really, really love Sheriff freaking out over the supernatural. Talking about, that's it, I'm done, I'm out. It was good to see Papa Stalinsky, aka Sheriff. I missed him in the premiere. And he even got to scold Styles a little bit about lying to him, but not too much.
Yeah, that was a waste. Yeah, Sheriff is actually my number 1. And so I'll talk about that a little bit later. He was the best thing about this episode. Actually, number 5 for me is Sheriff Awesome. And that is Sheriff looking back and forth from Teen Derek to Mugshot Derek. And all the wonderful facial expressions that he had. It was fabulous. I like his oh man look on his face the whole time, and then he squats down and he's staring at Teen Derek, and Teen Derek's staring back at him. It was just, it was wonderful. And then he's looking like, oh my goodness, what's happening now? And of course, boom, Styles and Scott right there, right on time for him to look at and go, I've got this one.
Okay, this next one is a Scott thing, and I'm just going to kind of lump it all together. I really like how Scott is very conflicted about telling quote-unquote white lies. He just feels like he's lying to everybody, and it's weighing on his conscience. And then there's Styles. I'll do it. I'll lie to him. Like, they just are the perfect compliment for each other, and that just kind of furthers it. And it goes right down to, Scott goes, I'm lying my butt off, and, Styles in classic Styles fashion, your butt's just fine. Yes, I'm paraphrasing, because we keep it clean here on Southgate Media Podcast.
That actually is going to tie into my number one also. My only concern with this is that they are talking about lying to, like, Malia and, to Teen Derek, and yet they don't seem to have any problem lying to the parents. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that they're so concerned over lying to Teen Derek, who hopefully won't be there for very long, but they have no problem lying to their parents about going to do dangerous stuff in another country. All right, number 4 was my Satan in a V-neck, so I'm going to flip it out. And I'm going to say Smart Scott. If you look at this episode, this may be the smartest Scott has been in all of Teen Wolf. He is really good at figuring out what they need to know and who is going to be best at helping them. Because if you look at it, we start at the beginning, he takes them to Deaton. Deaton should presumably be the person who can most help with supernatural illnesses. Could he? No, but it was a smart plan anyway. He goes ahead and he delegates to Lydia and says, yeah, you can stay here, because he realizes that both him and Styles need some sleep and that they're going to fail out of school if they never show up. Smart Scott. And later on, he doesn't tell Malia to go away. He encourages her to be there, even though if it makes it more complicated for him. When he finds out that Kate took Teen Derek, the other two, Peter and Malia, are ready to race out the door, and Scott says, wait. And this is a classic example of Scott learning from Derek's mistakes. And I really like that, because Derek also would have been the first one out the door. Let's go get this thing. But Scott is like, you know what? We need to do the smart thing. We need to figure out what Kate wants and how we're going to find her, because that's ultimately going to save us more time. And that is a power move, great leadership. It just screams of Scott actually learning from others and learning from his own mistakes and becoming a better leader. And I think that is exactly what we need.
Yeah, it was about time. I was getting really ticked off with Scott feeling like he was in limbo and only, being heroic when the plot line called for it. I feel like every episode should have a little bit of it and build instead of just pulling a Derek and just boom, we come back from vacation and totally different character.
I just thought that this was a good way of showing Scott's growth.
Okay. So, I haven't really talked about Styles this episode just yet, so here comes my Styles stuff. As I mentioned last week, and probably all during 3B, I really, really loved Dark Styles, and I really feel like Dylan really loved Dark Styles, and I saw a lot of Dark Styles mannerisms still present. He even still looks a little pasty with a little bit of that leftover residual dark eye makeup. I don't know, it could have just been the lighting, but I really feel like that's not resolved. And also we get a reminder of Eichenhaus twice. Sheriff says it, and then we see the bill, which, by the way, I thought Mary Marino had a fabulous tweet about that which we'll get to in Twitter, in our fan feedback section, I'm sure.
There was a lot of good ones about that. What I thought was awesome, or at least continuity, they went back to focusing on Styles' hands again. And you see it anytime he gets nervous, and it's just really good continuity there. But what I really saw of Dark Styles in Styles was actually when he and Scott are talking to Teen Derek in Sheriff's office. Just his tone. He is not sympathetic at all to Teen Derek.
I would just think of it as Scott is always good cop, so Styles is kind of forced to be bad cop in a lot of those situations.
Yeah, I just think that it came off as much more abrupt than it normally would have. Styles was never going to be the hand-holding, "aw, poor baby" kind of person ever. And if he was, I wouldn't like him, to be totally honest. I certainly wouldn't like him as much. So, but he's very, very abrupt with Teen Derek, and it feels like he's been that way with almost everybody, with the exception of Malia, Lydia, Scott. But anybody outside of their circle, he seems to be much more tough than before. And I think that is residual Dark Styles also. That's just my thought.
I hope so, because something so big, so huge. Like, he's not in jail. He did technically kill people.
Yes.
Like, I do want to kind of get to the bottom of that a little bit.
Yes, instead of putting it in the cave of drop plot points buried at the very back, in the deepest hole.
Like, you just can't. Like, I can't respect that decision at all. So I hope that, they're leaving us breadcrumbs.
I hope so. Number 3, adult Derek is back.
That was actually my number 1. I was really happy to have Tyler H back. That was the best thing about the episode for me personally. Like, nothing against Teen Derek, aka Ian Nelson, but I love Tyler H. He doesn't get a lot of screen time to begin with, so I was really worried about this whole Teen Derek storyline. And there's rumors and then there's confirmation and seeing for yourself. So the gang's all back together, and we can get down to brass tacks of figuring out this berserker and benefactor stuff. Like, I'm really eager to get into the myth arc because it's cool as heck.
Love the berserkers. I think they're going to be fun. And other than that, I think this is going to be Teen Wolf, the Hardy Boys here. Yeah, sorry for stealing your number 1. Number 2 for me, every single time Malia opened her mouth in Peter's loft. Every time. Love it. Not only did we start with the Satan and a V-neck comment, but then we get Peter, we're all works in progress. Malia, well, when you progress to your next killing spree, why don't you try and make sure they all stay dead?
Oh, yeah.
Only Malia could do that. Only she could say that. First off, with a straight face. And then my favorite one with Malia this time came in the same section. Peter, can't someone in this town stay dead? Malia, I think they were hoping you would.
That was my next one, because I literally was thinking the same thing right before she said it.
Oh, yeah. I'm thinking, Peter, you hypocrite.
My next one actually has to do with history, Dad, in the part of the history lesson where he's like, turn off your phone. Turn off your phone. Dad, that's your phone. Scott, call.
Call Lydia.
Just what the heck? But it was funny because it was his phone. He was bitching at the kid, and like the last time it was his phone.
That was hilarious. My number 1 is definitely the sheriff in the time travel scene. I love, love, love every part of it. Sheriff starts, I want you to be honest with me. Absolutely and completely honest. And before he says the next line, we get a great power shot of Scott and Styles' reaction. And it is amazing how different it is. Because when Sheriff asks them to be honest, Scott kind of opens his hands up and he's got this, sure, of course we're going to tell you the truth look on his face. And he's just so open and wants to tell him the truth. And you see Styles right next to him. His fingers start tapping at a mile a minute. I don't even know how the actor can move his fingers that fast. And you see him look down, and that look on his face goes, I'm thinking really, really hard of how I'm going to get out of this by lying to you.
Yep, I have that GIF set, and it's called The True Alpha, Scott McCall versus Styles. Depends on your definition of lying, Stilinski.
Oh, it's just a beautiful shot. If you have not seen that screenshot, you really do need to see it. And it just sums up that relationship so well. And then it gets better. Because Sheriff goes, have you been time traveling? And they both look at each other like, what the heck? What are you even talking about? And Sheriff is just so dead set serious the whole time. I love that. And then Scott is all like, he's just dumbfounded. And Styles like, what? Sheriff, because if time traveling is real, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. You're going to be driving me to Eichen House. Which was a great reference again, telling me that we are going to see Meredith again because they keep bringing up Eichen House too much. But then you've got Scott, and he's so earnest, and he's like, no, we found him like that. Sheriff just, boom, right back. Where? Swimming in the Fountain of Youth? Which is the second best quote of the night.
Yes, I concur, ma'am.
Love it. And then Styles wraps it up by telling the truth, which sounds even more ridiculous than the time travel theory.
And the Fountain of Youth theory.
Yes. I mean, seriously, we found him buried in a tomb of Wolfsbane, which I'm going to have a problem with later, in an Aztec temple in Mexico, under a church, in the middle of a town that was destroyed by an earthquake. What the heck? that sentence literally, it just doesn't make any sense. And so, if I were sheriff, besides picking up on the fact that my son had just lied to me again, and he does react to that, which is good, but, you know, I would be looking at him like, what the heck are you even talking about? But I do like that. And I like how as Styles is wrapping up this whole preposterous thing that sums up what happened in the first episode, Scott is like, oh no, he knows that we lied. And as soon as Styles is looking at Scott's face, he's like, yeah, I need to wrap this up quick. There is nothing about that scene, actually from before that scene when he's looking up and down at Derek from the mugshot, nothing about it that isn't absolutely spot on fabulous. It could end up being my favorite funny moment of the season. It was just that good.
Now, I did find something really adorable about Malia this episode. It was when she didn't know the answer and she's like got all the highlighters and she's kind of mimicking Styles. She's got something in her mouth and then one highlighter and papers in the other one, and if you zoom in really close, she actually has a doodle of Styles on one of the notes hanging out of the book. Gotta zoom in because I was making GIFs and I was making them at different sizes, and I made it really big and I was like, oh, look at that. Either way, poor Malia. Like, why don't they have, like, you know, at least in a remedial class?
Absolutely.
Because if Kira's in that class, Kira seems pretty smart. And I mean, Styles is smart. He just has ADHD, a hard time focusing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, she was, like, out in the wilderness forever. Of course, she's not going to really know how to, like, study properly. Like, it would take a lot to get her back into school.
Yeah, it makes zero sense for her to be there except that she's the hot chick, so...
Oh, Shelly, she is that.
Yeah, she's the hot chick. She has to be in high school, even if it makes more sense that she is in a middle school level. So,
or homeschool.
Yes, and that would make a whole lot of sense too. Yeah, my favorite thing that I saw out of that scene, though, is actually a dual gift set. And the left side is Styles, and the right side is Malia. And the top one, they both have the highlighter in their mouth. The middle one, they both have a teacher calling their name, and obviously history dad in Malia's case, and then dead science douche teacher in Styles' case, and they're both calling them out, and then it's their reaction with the highlighter in their mouth at the bottom one. It's hilarious. It's like so perfectly lined up to each other. Oh, I loved it. All right, that leads us to our issue section, and I just want you out there who are listening to listen to what we're looking for in issues. It says 3 to 5 things that didn't work or were confusing. 3 to 5. Confusing. This episode. See my problem? I have a list of 9 this makes no sense things on my awards this week, so... And I didn't even include all of them. This was a little hard to narrow down. I love this episode as far as getting us back into Teen Wolf. I thought that it was a fun episode, but continuity and canon and just making sense-wise, there was a lot that didn't.
Okay, I'm glad that I'm not alone on that. Like, it was fun, it was a little bit of action, the dialogue was great in a lot of spots, but at the end of the day, like, we're one step closer to the benefactor and everything, but everything else was just kind of wonky to get to that quote-unquote cliffhanger ending. Again, I feel like they were writing with the end in sight and kind of forgot a few things in between.
Yeah, it was a rush to the end to leave us on a cliffhanger. I thought that was snappy dialogue, but it felt like it was crummy canon. So, And that's my biggest issue. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw them all into number 2. I'm lumping that whole thing into 2.
I just want to get this elephant in the room out of the way. Kate and young Derek on every level of the sense of this problem, from him not realizing that she was much older, to her kissing him, to the everything. I don't like this at all.
Number 1, without a doubt for me. Kate the pedophile. Really? As if I didn't have enough reasons.
And she was a pedophile when he was that age, actually, turns out.
I guess so, but we won't know because the timeline is all funky again. Saying this is a big retcon because first off, they're making Derek and Kate the same age. That's fine with me. They can be the same age. But in season 1, they were making it sound like Derek had left high school. Him and Kate met up. It was actually planned on her part, and that they were no longer teenagers. So to make it now that teen Derek is what? A couple months after Chrissy sleeping around with Kate?
Paige.
Sorry, spin Chrissy. It doesn't make any sense at all. The timeline's been retconned. Their whole story has been retconned, basically.
To fit Kate into the story for the cool twist. I hate it. I hate it. Everything about Kate and Derek, I hate it.
Well, and she's a pedophile. So, I didn't think it was possible for me to hate Kate more than I already did. And now we throw this, and I am absolutely terrified that Jeff Davis, is going to try and redeem her character.
Oh, no. No.
That can't happen. It cannot happen. That would be like trying to redeem Gerard. But he also already tried to redeem Deucalion, which was also a nutcase psycho. So, yeah, that is number 1 for me.
But I'm just going to say it. She's a chick. I don't think he's really trying to redeem Kate. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think she's meant to be hated. She's the person he wants the fandom to focus their hate on while he does other dubious, questionable things. That's my personal opinion.
That is number 1 for me. There is nothing in this episode that made me feel more disgusting and disgusted than watching Kate kiss a teenager. Not enough words to say how wrong that scene was.
I don't know what Jeff was really thinking about that. I honestly don't.
I don't think he was. And I don't think he expected to get so many people who were upset by it.
And why didn't Teen Derek recognize that she was so much older? Like, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but really?
Hey. Yep. That is number 7 on my Things That Make No Sense award.
I just literally, like I said, everything about Teen Derek and Kate, I just absolutely hate everything about it.
Well, and there's just nothing okay with this. There's no okay thing about this relationship. There's no okay thing about this retcon. And quite frankly, I still do not see any point in bringing her back from the dead.
Especially since supposedly the Berserkers are connected to the benefactor.
Right now I want to go on to number 6. I do not like the dinner scene. Everybody else on the planet loved the dinner scene. I thought it was goofy, took up too much time, and since when is Styles this stupid? And I know people love having the goofy, fun Styles back, and I'm good with goofy, fun Styles, but not stupid Styles. I just really did not like that scene at all.
I kind of agree with you that the goofiness kind of took up some time to the point, but then again, we still had, which is my next point, slow-mo at every opportunity that we actually didn't need slow-mo for. From the Kate at the window. Are you kidding? With the hair flowing, she might as well just winked at Styles. Like, how did she get into the house? What is even going on? And then the slow-mo when they're running from the Berserkers. Like, okay, I tell you guys this every week because he does it every week. I know slow-mo is our cross to bear in this fandom, but I hate it. It just, especially at inappropriate times. Sometimes it makes me feel like they are doing that because they didn't have enough story, or they spent too much time somewhere where they weren't supposed to.
Yeah, like gas station attendant guy who took up 2 minutes that I could have gotten Mama McCall in. Yeah.
Oh, that's on my list as well, ma'am.
Yeah, I would say that the slow-mo thing, it's just bizarre when they choose to do it. Kira, she's number 5 on the things that didn't work for me.
I knew you were going to have this, so I didn't write it down. I can always count on you.
Kira, mid-battle, takes time out to smile at Scott and then gets her butt kicked for it. Seriously? They want me to root for Kira. I want to root for Kira. I am a big fan of kick butt women.
Are we not going to talk about the fact that since it is actually 2 months that her being with Lydia and like those two seeming so chummy doesn't feel right? Are we not going to talk about that scene? I figure since we're talking about Kira, we can just lump it in. It really bothers me that, I mean, literally, like, okay, 4 months was bad, and when I was thinking it was four months, but it's only been 2 months. Like, that's a major blow to Scott and Lydia specifically. You know what I mean? And Kira is just all up in their faces. Like, at every turn being inappropriately inconsiderate. And it is just driving me bananas. Give Scott some space. Give Lydia some space. Go hang out with Malia. Ugh.
I agree. It just seems they're rushing it. If they're going to have a fuzzy timeline, they can't use it to lack of making sense with their characters. It feels like they're using Kira to replace Allison without having any of the consequences of her death. And that's a cheap shot at the character, and it's doing Kira no favors, to say the least.
Okay, so I'm just going to get to the meat and potatoes of my gripe. We get douche dad, but we don't get Melissa or Argent. I mean, shouldn't Argent would have been actually handy to have in this particular situation. I missed my J.R. Bourne time. I missed my Melissa Ponzio time. Excuse you. 2 episodes.
I will give you Melissa in a heartbeat. If I'm getting douche dad, I better get something for it. Yeah. Number 4 for me. Peter's quote. So you want to learn to control it? Then get angry, Kate. Let's get angry! Did he not sound like a wrestling announcer?
Excuse you, that is Peter. I've always been the alpha hail. What do you expect?
I expect a little less overacting.
It's Peter. He's hammy. It's probably canon.
I adore Peter because Peter brings the snark, and I'm a fan of snark. So I adore Peter, but there are times when I look at this character and go, are you going to twirl that mustache a little harder? Number 3, and I didn't have near as much problem with this as some people I know. Scott, Malia, and Kira watch Teen Derek take on the Berserkers. What are these 3 superpowered people doing watching Teen Derek take on not 1, but 2 of the Skeletors? I mean, really? Are you kidding me? That makes 0 sense to the character. Now, I know they wanted to have the cool Teen Derek turns into adult Derek thing. I know that they wanted to show him, first off winning. Ha! Hallelujah. Big shock. But it makes no sense for the rest of their characters to just stand around and watch him fight.
You can't just write with the end in sight for the sake of cool. It needs to fit into the character growth and development that you've set. It just bugs me. Okay, this is actually like a minor one that I should have probably started out with, but the dirt bike. It just sounds so awful. Get a car already, Scott, for the love of goodness, please. I just wish we would stop focusing on it. That's all. Like, it's not cool. It looks really bad. It looks like one of those bad 1990 Disney movies, Motocrossed or something like that.
I think I saw that one.
Yeah, with the twins. Mm-hmm.
Number 2 for me are all the canon issues and questions that come up because they make no sense. I'm just going to read them off at this point. 1. De-aged Derek. Still makes no sense. We still haven't gotten any explanation on it, and I'm giving up on ever getting one. 2. How exactly was Teen Derek regular Derek in a tomb of Wolfsbane if he's still living? He might be younger, but he's still alive, and he's in a tomb of Wolfsbane. Plus, Scott reaches right in there with no trouble in this tomb of Wolfsbane. That makes 0 sense into the canon of the show. It's really bad continuity. Number 3. Apparently the construction site has better security than the high school does. How in the world did the police know to get there? Is there a silent alarm? It's not like the Hale House ruins are anywhere near a main road, so there should be absolutely 0 reason why they're out patrolling there. Number 4. It's been 2 months since Peter found out that he had a daughter. He worked extremely hard to get her name. He was absolutely frantic about figuring out who she was. And now they're telling me that Peter has not once looked Malia up or snuck around to see her. He's shocked he has not seen his own daughter. I'm shocked that he hasn't tried. Not to mention, she would have been in the paper. 'Cause, she showed up alive after however many years. So, yeah, this doesn't work for me. Nobody fights that hard to get information, just sit around twiddling their thumbs. Number 5. Kate has been a werejagger for a year now, and she still can't control herself even when it is not a full moon. That is an awfully big mess of bodies to follow her around. I cannot imagine how in this hunter world no one has put her down yet. That makes 0 sense.
Well, if they're anything like Mama Fratelli's bunch, I can...
It doesn't make any sense. First off, if nothing else, there should be an incredible amount of police stuff going around with her. She's leaving her DNA everywhere. Ugh, not that DNA matters on a supernatural show, apparently. Any supernatural show. Number 6. It's nighttime in half of Beacon Hills, the half that Scott's at, but it's daytime in the other half, the part where Lydia's at, because it's a magical town. What the heck was up with that? That was weird. Number 7 is the whole Teen Derek sees 30-something Kate and immediately recognizes her, because that made any sense at all, and didn't ask about how much older she was, because he's apparently brain dead. Number 8 is kind of silly, but still, Peter had access to $117 million, and yet he seems to squat in Derek's loft most of the time? Really?
What a cheapskate.
What the heck was that? Not only that, but, shouldn't Derek be using some of this money for, I don't know, living expenses? The guy had a Porsche in the first season. He had $117 million lying around, and he never thought, I want to get out of this burnt out shell of a house into something safe. And when I do, I go to this loft with no backup generator that could have saved me a whole lot of time and kept Boyd alive. I'm just saying, $117 million. Spend something. And, of course, the biggest, what the heck, moment of the night. Adult Derek is back. Why? We have no idea. Not a clue. And his eyes are yellow. Yeah. Huh? What?
That's a long list of questions that I have no answers for. I could try to wank out some, but it is mind-boggling, the questions that have come up from this episode alone and the season premiere. I don't know that we're going to get to everything that we need to get to again. This is my number 1 thing. Deputy douchebag tasers a minor. No freaking way a cop wants anything to do with a minor unless it is absolutely necessary. The paperwork alone is a pain in the butt.
Oh, yeah.
I know this because I have cop friends. And for little infractions, they really, really try just to have the kid call their parents.
Nothing about that made sense at all, except to set up the dichotomy of he's a douche and Parrish is the nicest guy on the planet.
But we already knew that.
Got a child, a minor, that is obviously confused, who is crying, sitting in a pile of ruins, talking about where is my mom. That it makes no sense that you would even go there. The whole thing is baffling. This is not the first time that there have been major questions about what happens in an episode. That happens every episode. But this is compounded by 30. It's 30 episodes of questions and things that don't make sense in one episode. And while I love this episode, and I'm giving it high marks because, hey, it had action, it had plot, it had snark. There is really if you balanced it out on what made sense and what didn't make sense, you'd be sitting on the ground and the seesaw would be standing straight up. And my guess is that of my 9 big questions, possibly 2 of them will be answered. Those are the main things that I had issues with in this episode.
So, yeah, time to talk about our main character.
I liked Scott this time, with the exception of watching Team Derek beat up on the Skeletor. But I did like Scott. I thought that he was the most improved in this episode.
Yeah, definitely. I got the Scott that I wanted to see for the most part. I'm always happy when they give Scott a chance to shine and show his leadership skills, because they really do need to be worked on and improved upon. And I know that it's a slow process, but I know like you don't care about the true alpha thing, but like they brought it up. It was such a major point, and it feels like it's just kind of been dropped. It's like, oh, he's just a true alpha, and that's just like his title, but he hasn't really earned it or showed us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm happy got dropped into the cave plot points. Styles, I thought, was a study of two different characters tonight, which did not work for me because I only liked one half of them. But he did get some great lines. There were some great moments between Scott and Styles. And for that, I really did enjoy that.
Yeah, I found it very dichotomous with Styles. I don't know. It's like they were trying. Like, it's really funny that our tagline is "Can't go back," right? Because they did a lot of nods to season one. Miguel is like the most obvious one, obviously, but right down to having Styles be goofy and weird, and it like so much has happened that we just. I mean, I would love to see it in a better way, but not at such an important time. Like, he's babysitting a really big piece of the puzzle, or so we think at this point. And, I would have just not been at Scott's house. I would have been like, well, he's not here. Okay.
What can we say about Derek? He's back. Yay!
Yes. Like I said, that was definitely my number one thing about this episode. They said that they were going to give Derek more time in this season along with Lydia. So I was really pumped for this season. Then I was like, wait, they didn't really actually say adult Derek. Now I'm worried. So now my fears are quelled, and I'm looking forward to getting into some actual backstory and filling out the Hales a little bit more.
It would be nice to at least have some foundation. If we're gonna bring Kate back, we need to bring back what actually happened then. Yes. What do we not know, and how does that affect Derek as a character? Because Kate's not going to be staying on. Derek is. If anything, this needs to be Derek's story, not Kate's. Then we've also got Lydia. Best thing about Lydia in this one is that she did interact with a whole lot of people. She doesn't normally interact with Deaton. This is the first time she's really interacting with Kira. So in that stance, it was a good thing, because we got to see some of the stuff that we got to see her interact with people that we never get to see her interact with. But to be totally honest, it was like they wasted her as a character. She basically held Teen Derek's hand. She told Scott that lying was going to be problematic, and she figured out that Teen Derek would go to the Hale House. That was probably her biggest contribution. And then she death walked into a massacre, and she pep talked Kira, and she made fun of Styles' bat. So, more screen time. She had more interaction, but it did not advance her character again. That leads us to our two new ones, Kira.
We could have done without her this episode, honestly, and it wouldn't have changed much.
Yeah, the only time we needed Kira was when she had the sword in her hand. Other than that, and it ended up being one of the worst scenes of them all. But yeah,
it's weird that they keep trying to cram Kira, because, like, if she is supposed to be, quote-unquote, the Allison replacement, they gave Allison scenes that slowed the momentum down, but they didn't actually shove her into, like, every single episode. So we can take that formula for Allison and apply it to Kira at this point.
So, yeah, Kira continues to be my biggest disappointment of this. But then we get Malia! The bright, shiny star. You can't not like a character that brings so much humor.
I'm glad that, like, they're giving Shelley something different to do from her other characters. Sometimes, actresses especially get typecast, and I just really glad that they went a completely different way with this particular character for her. Because I am a fan of the Secret Circle, despite not really recognizing her. I was just like, really? I had to squint? It's been a couple years. And I was just like, no, not that, Shelley. It is!
She is talented, and she is doing a great job with this part. And this is a part that could go either one way or the other. So I'm really excited by what she's doing, and I'm even more excited because this is the character that they seem to have the best grasp on at this point. They're really doing some great things with her, which leads us to secondary characters. Yep.
Yeah. We already kind of talked about Worthless Deed, and I was very disappointed. Like, I was like, hey, it's... Oh, you don't have answers? I know it's only the first 30 seconds, but, well, minute. But, come on, Deaton. Give us something. Give us a bone, a crumb. Nope. And he got scratched, and now I'm all worried about him.
Oh, that's right, he did. No.
I mean, it was really bad. Lydia did a really crappy job of bandaging him up, by the way.
Yeah, Deaton was worthless. I'm not even sure why he was in this episode. So, yeah. Peter overacted too much at the end. Brilliant in the loft. Still one of the best narkers of them all.
I love their entrance into the loft, and he's just kind of sitting reading a book. Like, you just don't picture Peter reading a book, right? You expect him to be, like, greasing his mustache and twirling it. History Dad could have done without.
And, at least his scene got a laugh. We got the oh-so-important sheriff, who is the best. The absolute best thing about this episode.
I don't even consider him a side character. I feel like he's a main character who doesn't get enough screen time.
Villain of the week, Kate and the Thief. And Skeletors. Plot holes. Plot holes were the villain of the week.
So, episode awards?
Yep. What was your grade, first off?
Yes. My grade. I gave it a B. A flat B.
Okay.
It was improved from the premiere for season 4, but it left me furiously scratching my head with too many questions, like more so than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And, the people that I care about kind of got shafted. Lydia, Styles, Scott at the end, so.
That makes sense. I am going to raise it up just a little bit more, and I'm going to give it a B+. Again, a generous B+, as like last time was a generous B-. I think part of it is that I was so excited to have the pacing of Teen Wolf back again compared to what was happening, that automatically I was already going to like it more. And just like Teen Wolf most of the times, my first watch I liked better than, say, my fourth watch. Because that's when the plot holes become even more apparent. But in this one, the reason it's not in the A level is because even from the first watch, I spent most of my time going, that makes no sense. And I had to be distracted by things like the Berserkers to get my logical brain back into the story because of all of the problems. But I did think that they did a good job of developing Scott. I thought that the team as a team was pretty well gelled. I like that Derek came back. So there was a lot of really positive things for me, but probably the thing that pulled it from a B to a B+ for me was all of the great dialogue. So while the plot itself had issues, the dialogue was crisp. It kept moving along. There was some very clever wordplay. I just really liked, when I was doing the quotes on this, I liked this so much better than the first one. The first one I had barely any quotes. And this one I had almost 2 pages of quotes because the writing was just much more fun in this one. So for me, B+. Who is your MVP of the episode?
I went with Scott. I was just really pleased to see them actually working on Scott again. He had a grasp on how the start of being a good leader, which is delegation and trust and listening and planning and learning from mistakes. So,
and using resources wisely.
Yes.
My MVP, no question about it, Sheriff, all the way around. Everything that happened with Sheriff was the highlight of the episode for me. What was your best character interaction?
I felt like almost everybody's character interactions worked really well, but I have to say Sheriff, Scott, and Styles is my favorite character interaction.
Yeah, definitely. If I had to pick just 2, I'm going to say Scott and Styles. I thought that they brought back that bond a little bit stronger than they did before, and I really like that. But yeah, add Sheriff in it, and it was just a total win.
And on the minor scale, it would be Sheriff and Teen Derek, where you're just staring at him.
Yes! Oh, yes. Ah, brilliant. Did you have a best reason to watch?
no.
My best reason to watch, besides Sheriff, obviously, was that the pacing got back up in there and that the dialogue was. All right. Any other episode words that you have?
Teen Wolf does product placement like no other. The reason why we got our lovely attendant shot with the gruesomeness of it was to showcase Lydia's new phone, and it was a Samsung Galaxy K Zoom. It was subtle, but I saw it. I know why we were sitting there. I do.
My biggest shock, they actually let Derek win a fight, and Beacon Hills has a Batcave. Those were the two things that shocked me most in an episode that was trying to shock me the whole time.
I do have one more Princess Bride award, which is I don't think that word means what you think it means, which goes to Lydia, unfortunately, when she says that she has a 4.0 GPA in AP biology and she hasn't seen some of these parts. Well, duh, because I took this class in high school, it's about the cellular and molecular levels of biology, and we only dissect animals for the most part. Just saying. If she would have said honors anatomy and phys, sure, I would have totally not batted an eyelash. And that's what I actually thought she said to make it make more sense. But no, she said AP biology.
That was another one of my, you really do need to have a educational consultant.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a bazillion awards that gave off. Bizarre subplot of the night was the Eichen House bill.
I'm actually kind of glad we're getting back to the cheese. I don't know. I didn't sign up for the gross horror factor for Teen Wolf. I just wanted something easy breezy to not have to obsess over, say something like a Supernatural or maybe Lost Girl or something like that, where it's just such an intricate mythology and so much to remember. I just wanted, and now it's just it happened again.
I can say for sure now that Teen Wolf is my Supernatural replacement, in that I have spent as much time as I normally did on Supernatural now on Teen Wolf. So,
you're just trading one addiction for another.
I am. And so for me, some of those things that just fly by everyone else that they don't get bent out of shape on, it's something that gets me bent out of shape. So, but I love this show. I think that it's got great bones to it, fabulous characters that really do feel, for a Supernatural show, they do feel pretty genuine. Great interaction, lovely snark, and of course, the best pacing of any show on TV at this time. It's worth the obsession.
It really is. Even if a lot of questions don't get answered, I feel like Jeff has this backlog of stuff to do, and he's slowly trying to get to it. And I'm just gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. And he said, "Yeah, it might be cool, but we might be able to get some Derek backstory too with the Kate thing. So give him a little sugar with their medicine." I'm hoping it's.
Well, I hope you were right.
Decision came down. So. Jeff, don't let me down.
Alright, it is time for the listener part of our show. Do we have any email today?
You go ahead and do Twitter, and I will check it because I've been a bad co-host.
That works for me. Alright, I will totally be honest and say that when I went through, I ended up pulling out 51 tweets of all of the tweets that I had hooked up as favorites. And so I have several more than I normally would. So just to get started, my favorite tweet of this whole one came from @MissAbbyTaylor, who said, and I 100% agree here, "Why is it we only get to see the episode of Teen Wolf once, but there's marathons of ridiculousness every single day?" Is she not right? Come on.
I have no idea about that.
Oh, it's every time, I don't watch MTV except for Teen Wolf, but I swear every time I go and look up the TV schedule, that freaking show is on. My second favorite one, because again, I agree 100%, was @Lady Day Writes, DAE, and she wrote, "Teen Wolf, ugh, I can't unsee that scene with Kate and Derek. I want to bleach my eyes." Number 3 was at Celso J.R. Rosas, and it says, Derek can win a fight against mutant skeletons when he's 16, but he can't win anything against werewolves when he's like 20? And by the way, every time I do the tweets, just know that I am editing them instead of beeping them. Just so everybody knows. Number 4. And this is from at Nerd of a Wombat. Hey, sometimes life happens. A lot in Derek Hale's case. Number 5. I thought this was hilarious. This is from at Brindisimo. And you can find all of these on my recap, so if you want to check these guys out, to go there. She says, that's what happens when you don't give a girl enough time in the restroom. And then at Jamie Sugar said, they have a bill for Eichenhaus when Styles was in there like 24 hours. The American health system, I tell ya. So those are my favorites. I also have about 40 other ones that I really, really adored. So keep it up, live tweeters, because you make my job hard, but you make it a whole lot more fun.
I actually have 2 from Twitter. One is from Tyler Holchin's Army. It goes, Derek said every eye color possible, and I was literally thinking the same thing. Then the next one is from Michaela, which is at Skiles, please. Are we sure Kate is a werejagger? Because she seems a lot like a Kruger to me. Boom, done. Tis.
So those are my favorite things that I saw in the fandom.
Okay, to sum up Tumblr's Teen Wolf fandom this week. Out of a sample of about 500 posts. Yeah, you when you get to scrolling, it goes by really fast. The summation of it is, oh, I would totally spoon with Styles too.
Really?
They like that line.
Good. So it sounded like the Malia hate's going a little bit away.
Yeah, and believe me, if it's Tumblr, I kind of feel like, yeah.
Because it already started going away in the first episode for Twitter. So glad to see the Tumblr's on board for Malia too.
Everybody absolutely, it like literally the GIF set for Sheriff, it's like I've seen like 1,000.
Yes. Yes.
People missing Argent, people hating Kate.
Yeah. Die Kate.
I was a bad girl. I didn't do any critic reaction except for your review, and even that was like a day late. So I was just like, if I only have time for one, it's not gonna be Hypable or anybody. It's gonna be Dawn.
Aw, thank you. You're sweet.
So guys, go to Spoiler TV, go to the Teen Wolf tab, and check out Dawn's review. Shameless plug, keeping it in the family.
Speaking of shameless plugs, while you're on Spoiler TV or my blog, definitely click on the favorite scene poll, even if you don't usually do that, because at the bottom of the Spoiler TV one, at the top of mine, is a list of criteria that we're using for our new Teen Wolf bingo game. So, if you have other things that you think should be on our bingo game, please tell me. You can tweet me at Dawn1, DAHNE1. You can leave a comment on the Spoiler TV page or the or my blog page, which is at it's dawn1.blogspot.com. But we do have our very first bingo game ready to go for next Monday. I hope you play with us. If you score bingo, tweet me about it. And if you want to do your own bingo one, then there are directions for how to do that on the favorite scene poll page. So,
fun fact, you can also convert the bingo game into a Teen Wolf drinking game for those that are old enough to drink. Just saying.
Yes, you can. As a matter of fact, the bingo game also has double points for some things, so it's kind of does go very well with a drinking game. And just remember that your drinking game does not have to be alcoholic. You can choose whatever you want. I prefer chocolate milk. We are getting ready to start the Character Cup again on Spoiler TV. If you have not joined us for that, it is a whole lot of fun. Starting next Sunday, you are going to be able to nominate 2 males and 2 female characters. I'll tally them all up, and the week after that, we will get started on it. Basically, the ones that have the top 64 nominations get into the contest. We do 1-to-1 heads the whole way through and wait until we come up with the winner. It's always a great time. It is definitely revolved around the fandom that has the most people who are participating. And this time I'm going to hopefully make it a little bit more challenging because I will only allow 1 male and 1 female from each show. So there should be at least 32 shows represented. It's going to be fun. Come join us.
Well, so in case you guys actually want to get in touch with us, we do like listener feedback. We'd love to read some of your comments eventually. Maybe you're still warming up to us. I don't know. But just in case you're wondering, our email is teenwolf.smgpod, that's P-O-D, @gmail.com. Our Twitter is @BeaconHillsPod. Our Tumblr is welcome to beaconhillspodcast.tumblr.com. And if you go to Facebook, guess what? All you have to do is go to Welcome to Beacon Hills. And it pops right up for you. We try to stay pretty consistent with our name so we're easy to find. So tons of ways to get in touch with us. We'd love for you to do so. So we're waiting. Come talk to us, dang it. And if you're a fan of DC Comics, I have a podcast for you. It's called Channel 52, and it's going to be keeping me up with all things TV, movie, comic books, and all the such in the DC comic book universe. So, yeah.
So, lots of stuff going on. Until next week, keep safe, keep your pack together, and dude, remember, it's Beacon Hills.
If you would like to donate to help pay for this and other Southgate Media Group podcasts, simply go to our website, southgatemediagroup.com, and click on the donate button. It can be as little as $1 or, well, as much as you want. Help keep this fun going by supporting this and our other shows. Thanks again for listening, everyone. You're the best fans in the world.